outside a bunch. And I don't like, of course it would be cool, but I don't think that is...
Tennis? Because I'd be outside a bunch? No, you want to be able to fucking dominate a person. You want to know you can protect yourself and fucking crush your enemies, right?
I thought that, yes, I would love, oh my God. When I first started weightlifting, I used to think about these two PR people that I hated and how I'd love to be able to like smack them with a barbell and
that
be
was
strong.
your weapon of choice, a barbell.
Well, that's because that's what I had, and I was like good at lifting at the time, so I was like, yeah, I could really cause some damage.
I had a Latina comedian on probably about a year ago now, but we were talking about how like Mexicans love martial arts. Like Mexicans are what keep little like hole in the wall studios open.
Yeah.
Because we like being physical.
Yeah. It's incredible because I was like 100% like this is the answer that everybody's gonna have, and it was the answer that like none of the people had. And like at work I was like, I didn't even say that it's like I would love to be able to beat someone up. I was just like, because I think it's cool. But
you
really
like the discipline.
Yeah.
You're trying to make it sound like it's an art.
Also,
it's the martial art. And then you get real Asian accent-y.
They love that at work. They're like, do more accent.
That's hilarious.
Work. We really want to see you stretch yourself.
There are no rules
HR.
with Chinese people.
We'll see.
Yeah, we were watching that Girls 5 Eva show, and they made because Sarah Bareilles is Italian, and so they keep doing like Italian stereotype stuff, and they keep being like making jokes that there are no rules with Italians. They're like, Chris Pratt's playing Mario. There are no rules with Italians.
Paul and I like Doughboys, and they make a lot of jokes about like Italians.
Doughboys.
It's a podcast about chain restaurants.
Okay.
And
is that where they eat the menu?
Yes.
No, that's a video. It's like a vlog.
They're on YouTube now too, and it's incredible because I knew them as only a podcast, and I was hurt that they started doing, this is them. I was kind of hurt that they started doing YouTubes because I was like, oh, you're like, you don't care about listeners anymore. But every once in a while, they have videos that...
Oh, it's a headgum.
Yeah. I think that's probably why, because I think all the headgum shows have video now.
I mean, yeah, you're not going to make it in the podcast world if you're not doing video these days. I mean, podcast is synonymous with like video now.
What about cereal?
Do people ever talk about cereal?
I'm talking to you about it right now.
Yeah, about how much it's fallen off.
Wow, hurtful. It's about Guantanamo, so it's important.
It sounds depressing.
It's sad. It's a little bit about torture.
Yeah, it sounds like it'd be a lot about torture, because isn't that what Guantanamo's thing is? It's like, that's our thing here.
That's what we do. That's kind of what we do here.
Yeah. Is that what you're getting from cereal, or are they trying to like rebrand? Like Domino's, if you will. Like, we used to be about torture and bad food, but now we have good food.
Yeah. No, it is still, they're like, it's a crime story. You like crime stories. There were crimes. It's like not a full rebrand. They kind of just do whatever because the New York Times owns them. And I think that's a big sack of money for them to just play around.
Before we get too far in, I'm going to say Megan Arellano, returning guest, former journalist for Denverite, current tech genius. Or I don't know what you'd call it. What's your title? Or what would you say? Because you got into tech and then you got my wife into tech.
Yeah.
You drug her in.
I have feelings about that. I'm a software engineer now.
Okay.
But that does remind me that one of the titles at work you can be is like a distinguished engineer, which I think is so silly. Like, I'm the best boy engineer. Like, I'm Queen Princess engineer. It's like giving that kind of energy.
Queen Princess engineer versus
what was it? Distinguished. It's very like, it's so silly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a title for sure.
Yeah. It sounds tech is like a little bit made up, and
Yeah,
it
what's
sounds
with this grandiose
especially.
titles for tech? Is it just like they're like, we can do whatever we want. We're making it up, and it's just nerds
I
being like,
mean,
I can't be called a grand wizard, but I can be called a fancy lady boy.
there is kind of a tradition, like Mark Zuckerberg made business cards that said "I'm the CEO, bitch" on
Oh,
them,
okay, yeah,
gave
yeah.
them out. So I think it's like kind of a little bit like,
I think we all had that phase. You know, when you're
yeah.
young, I remember I went to New York in like 2011 and I bought a shirt from the HBO show that said, hug it, let's hug it out, bitch. And I wore that around high schoolers because what I was doing there is I got paid to go out there to shoot this like high school volleyball, softball, like extracurricular thing. And their whole thing was like, we'll help your student athletes get scholarships. And then we take them to New York and we go to a show and blah, blah, blah. So like I put together a whole like video package for them
Okay.
as like a commercial. So I got to go and do all that stuff. And on my free time, I went to the fucking HBO store and I loved Entourage at the time. I'm sorry. I thought it was cool. I wanted, to be famous and rich and hang out with my boys. All right. Is that such a crime?
Honestly,
But
yeah. It was a
it
vibe.
was a vibe back then. And so I got the shirt that said, let's hug it out, bitch.
Oh my god, at the start of that story, I thought you were gonna tell me you were like a gymnastics coach wearing a Hug It Out bitch shirt, and I got like real nervous.
Yeah, I was like the video guy. So I was adjacent, but I mean, I was around all these high school kids and their dads because their parents would come with them,
Oh.
Not all of them, but like some of them came as chaperones. And one dad was always giving me the side eye, like, because his daughter was talking to me a lot. Not
Oh.
like, it
He
wasn't
didn't
like
want a
anything, but,
hug.
he didn't want to hug it out. And he was like, you better not hug my daughter, which I would never have done. All right. I was already like cognizant
Yeah, that would have been.
that would be bad.
It
I was
wouldn't work.
woke in that respect.
I kind of miss stupid sayings on t-shirts, because I had this shirt that was like "More water, please," and a bunch of dead plants on it. And I think we've left that era of like silly sayings on shirts.
Yeah, behind.
Yeah.
Dude, that's gonna come back as vintage. Like the vintage tees that are like, the old Levi logo and shit like that. Our vintage tees are gonna be shirts that say fucking let's hug it out, bitch.
I actually, yeah, this has already happened to me and I'm pissed.
Gen Alpha's gonna come wearing your water me please shirt and they're gonna be like, I paid $100 for this.
That is still one of my favorite shirts. I'll just hold on to it
Oh,
until
you
it's
have it
cool.
still?
Yeah.
Damn, you didn't wear it?
I do
You didn't wear that for your first solo outing on Left Hand Right Brain?
If your listeners just knew how good I smelled right now, it would make up for that.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, she smelled her
probably.
wrist, everybody, if you're not
Yeah.
listening. Well, when you're saying this podcast goes a video, I have been recently thinking like I have been not thinking about the listeners as much. And I want to say, dear listener, I'm sorry about that. I haven't forgot about you. You're what got me here. But the visual thing is just so overwhelming.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a screen right now with my face on it, so it's like when we do visual gags and stuff like that, that's like, I have to also keep in mind there's the bulk of people are just listening still.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of heartening for me. And you still have the reflex, right? Where you're like, by the way, this is like you're describing what I just did.
Sometimes.
Like, I don't.
I'm on it right now.
All. Okay. Cool. What did I want to tell you
You're
about?
talking about
Stupid
vintage
t-shirts.
You smell good. You wish the viewers could see it.
Could,
the listeners could smell it.
If I had the scent card, I would read you that too, so you could really like get into what I'm giving right now. No, it's that my dad was like a motorcycle guy, and when he used to go to Sturgis a lot, and he would bring back these horrible t-shirts that were just like, oh, it's a skeleton riding a motorcycle with flames coming out the back. And
is it because people die on motorcycles more than any other vehicle?
Yeah, that was it. There was like in the fine print, it said, this is a grim reminder of the death toll of motorcycles. Yeah, because they're all about like education.
Yeah, they print that on the inside.
No, my dad was like, oh, they do midget tossing, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's Sodom and Gomorrah stuff. But they bring back these like big, like the Harley Davidson aesthetic.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought they were stupid. And I got rid of them all. And I went to a dispensary and I saw one of these like Gen Z hot pukes wearing one of those
Hot
shirts.
pukes.
I was so
Oh, you're
mad.
talking about the butt tender.
Yeah.
I thought you were describing the shirt at a second, but you're actually describing a person. That's hilarious.
It's a genre of person, a puke.
Yeah, sure.
A lot of good peas for the
Generation
listeners.
Puke. That's what it should be. Not Generation Alpha, Generation Puke.
What's going to happen? We have Alpha. Are we just going to go through all the letters now?
Yeah, I think, it'll just go the Greek letters.
I feel bad for the generation after Alpha. Generation of betas?
Yeah, they might zhuzh it up a little.
Yeah, they better, because that's a bad look.
Their whole thing is, they're gonna have a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes me feel a little bit better about Generation Alpha, though, like, because I'm scared of them. But it's like, it's natural for me to be scared of alphas.
I can teach you some karate moves. And then, all right, we're already going to have to work on this stuff. She threw out some punches
a lot of limp wrist movement and a nice like smack on the microphone.
Taking it out on the mic stand, which is fine. You got to tough it up a little bit. They call it body hardening.
Oh, yeah.
Like in those old kung fu movies when they're like putting their hands in hot sand or like punching steel plates,
Okay.
Have you seen these?
I have not, but it makes sense because abuelas are some of the hardest people I know, and they're constantly sticking their hands in hot pans.
Yeah. Their nerves are deadened. That's basically what you're doing. You're deadening your nerves so you can be a more efficient killing machine.
You don't want you need your hands to be hammers.
Yes.
Okay.
You need your hands to be flesh hammers.
So
you don't like thinking about
bad.
Like that?
No.
Oh, does it sound bad? Do you want to fucking dominate people or not, Megan?
With
all right?
gloves on, with nice little puffy gloves.
Yeah, that's why you're the gentleman martial artist.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
the distinguished
lady martial artist.
Queen Princess karate killer. That's it. It rolls right off the tongue.
Queen Princess Karate Killer. That's your octagon name. Coming into the octagon, the Queen Princess Karate Killer.
Did I ever tell you about
QPKK?
One of the funniest things that happened in
the UFC?
Sorry.
Sorry.
When my brother was in high school and we went on a road trip to Wyoming to watch MMA, and it was just like an octagon set up in a high school, and the guy who won like climbed the cage and just was so happy, but then as soon as he came to the mic, he was like, "Please don't tell my mama I fight the cage." That's it. I think that's like one of those. I think the last time we hung out, I was like, I think about that line, "I'm the juggernaut bitch," probably once a month. I think about that line probably like once every 6 weeks. I'm just like, please don't tell my mama I fight the cage.
So his mom wasn't supporting him, I guess.
Yeah.
But he had some anger. He wanted to work out.
I like he like wanted the acclaim of being recognized as a fighter, but also the privacy that his mother would never find out.
Wow. The duality of man, really.
Truly.
Yeah. We're watching some body hardening stuff right now. We just pretty much, this guy's got stones and he's whacking them with his hands.
Do you do this?
No, we don't really do that. I mean, they do this. Sometimes they do things against like a pole in the like a steel pole, and people would like punch it to see how and everyone would line up and like punch it to see how strong they were. There's like some dumb shit like that. But I mean, I wouldn't want to be hit by this guy. His hands are fucking dead. Those things are just sausages. Numb sausages for
attached to his hands. Well, he's not going to be a calligrapher after this. I don't know. What do you lose when you don't have nerves in your hands?
Weakness.
Yeah. Okay. I'm back.
Something
on
like
board.
that with like the edge of a beam. There'd be a little bit of hit into those, things like that. Your bones are getting denser, when they go through trauma like that.
Yeah.
So your bones get denser and you deaden the nerves so you don't feel pain.
Yeah. How is this like a popular genre of video? Is this somebody's
I
ASMR?
doubt it. I mean, it has 18K views or
What?
subscribers 8 years ago.
A million views for the pain proportional, and he's a karate master. I don't know. Yeah, just have
You
an
think it's worth it?
hour-long loop.
I don't think he's making money off of his YouTube channel.
Yeah, there's no ad breaks in that video,
Well, I mean,
idiot.
I have premium, so I
Oh,
wouldn't
okay,
know.
okay.
Hey, you're on the best podcast when they got YouTube Premium.
I had to disconnect YouTube Premium from my computer because I just watch too much YouTube. I love shorts.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's
So
great
why would you disconnect?
because I gotta be mind disciplined so I can be queen princess engineer.
Right. Is that something that's important in tech because you're using your mind all the time? Your mind is
I do buy into
the
the
muscle you're using.
idea that uh short form video and the speed of the internet like diminishes our attention span and makes us less good thinkers a little bit.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. No, I could see that. But but in tech, you're using your brain the whole time. That's the whole thing is you're thinking through problems like that. Like, bricklayer uses his body, he uses that up till he's,
He
and
uses
then
those hands he hardens the bricks with his hands and then he lays them on. Yeah.
well, just construction work. Anybody using their body for work, it's like you gotta, I'm sure there's some maintenance you gotta do it from time to time to, keep working. So with your brain, are they like, hey, you gotta protect this. Yeah, this is what you make money with. This is your money maker, so protect it. So like meditation, uh, some
Nobody
kind
at
of
work
brain
is
stretching.
like don't nobody nobody's like don't run headfirst into that wall. You could concuss yourself. Your brain is important to us. But I do notice that the days that I meditate before work are it's just easier to focus and settle down and get in. And there's something about that where it's like after I'm done, it's like, okay, it's time to work. I can set everything aside and kind of focus for a while.
Hmm. But there's no like talk at work about like, hey, make sure you're like self-care stuff. Because you work for a
Mm,
pretty intense company. It feels like,
yeah.
they're out doing stuff. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
We don't have to say it if you don't want to.
Get up.
OnlyFans.
The
Pornhub.
Pornhub. They have to move a lot of video.
Yeah,
So it's
they
a
got.
high
Have you ever seen it gone down? No, it's because they have people in the background working day and night.
they're constantly lubing the
Yeah, there
machines,
you go. Yeah,
fluffing the machines so they
but
never
you
go
did say
down.
the name of the thing. Did you want to say it or no?
It doesn't I don't think it matters.
Well,
I
because
work
I'm
for
going to badmouth them. So
uh I wanna hear that now.
just saying that they don't care about their employees' mental health because they don't talk about it at all.
I mean, like, I get money that I can use to
Wow, such
for
a
a
part of the
gym.
machine. Wow, look at you. You're like, I could use the money I make to better
No!
my
They the way it works is they say, "Here's a pool of money that you can use to pay
a
for
pool sized. They get pool
Olympic."
sized things of money, guys. That's how they get paid in the tech industry.
Yeah. It's all quarters in
You
that
go from
pool.
baby pool, kiddie pool,
Olympic-sized
Olympic
pool.
size pool is
Yeah.
the
Is
top tier.
is there a bigger there's no bigger size of pool.
Olympic size, no. Then you just get double Olympic size. When you get raises, you get 2 Olympic size pools, things like that.
Yeah. I wanna swim in a triple Olympic pool. No, they set aside they're like, "Have this much money, you can spend it on the gym. You can" actually, I can there's a bunch of silly perks, like, I can
Silly.
they're super silly. Can get,
But don't you like
Game
that
Pass. Yeah, I like
your
it.
work is like trying to take care of you in that way?
It's super nice. It's the nicest place I've worked.
That's very
And
nice. I
it
just mean
yeah.
tech in general seems like they seem a little more just like into uh, self care for their employees
Yeah.
versus my job where like we're sitting all day on a bus that like has no shocks and they're like if your back gets fucked, you got to pay for that. We don't
Yeah.
do any chiropractic thing. We don't encourage you to stretch.
Which sucks. I think that there's maybe a little bit there's still, like, a little bit of magic associated with, like, engineering and, like, the stuff that the that world entails.
It's because people don't understand it, so they associate it with magic.
A little
Like, this
bit,
is
or like,
witchcraft.
"You're so smart. How did you do that?" Not
Okay.
the stuff that I personally do, but just, like, some stuff that some people do, like, "Oh my god, how did you do that?" And then it's like, "Well, we can't lose Corey. He's so smart. The best way to, like, keep Corey is to give him the triple Olympic pool of money to swim in."
Yeah.
And I don't know that, like, I think it's more a question of incentives than it is, um, a genuine care. Like, your work maybe is, like, doesn't have the same incentive to care for you in the way that they should care for just for human beings because they're human beings.
Right, right. Well, I guess at least there's that going for you guys, huh? At least they care about what you can do for them in the sense that they will compensate you.
Yeah. It's so crazy. It always surprises me.
So what was the transition from journalism to tech? Because I went back and I listened to like our very first episode, like 2016. We just met after City O City. We got pizza there, which, I mean, sorry, City O City's fallen off so hard.
They have.
I
Oh my
know.
god, it's really
I
sad.
know.
It's like
I'm only saying this because I want you to get your shit together, City O, okay? It's like coming from a place of love.
it's like the parent, like, "I'm not mad, I'm just
Yeah, be
disappointed."
better. You were better. You were good.
You you were supposed to save vegetarian food, not thrust it into darkness. I'm stuck on that quote now. I did that with
You did
Valerie.
do it earlier before we
Yes.
started recording, which I wasn't going to mention, but it's also I like it. I like it. That's fun. I like it. You latch onto something and you
Yeah.
milk it. That's a bit.
Yeah.
It's a bit. We're talking about bits. What
Uh-huh.
qualifies as a bit versus a sketch versus a joke earlier. I don't know if that was on the recording, but
Damn it. They missed out on some real good wisdom.
yeah. Well, anyway, so
City O City, they suck now.
oh
Oh,
yeah.
the first
Yeah,
recording.
first recording.
Yeah.
You were in journalism. You're like, I
Yeah.
kind of just fell into it in a way, or something you were pursuing, but it
Uh-huh.
was not what you went to school for. Like you didn't go to school for journalism or radio, but you liked both,
Uh-huh.
and you're pursuing those. And then somewhere around the pandemic, you just got because you were working for Denverite. You
Mhm.
helped the house that Megan built is how I refer to Denverite.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
but
I need that. I love that.
yeah, I mean, they definitely fell off when you're gone. Like, I don't even really. I mean, I don't even Adrian Who Garcia. I don't even know anymore.
He doesn't work there.
He used to.
He did used to.
I know.
Perfect. No one knows. It's impossible to figure out who works there. No, they do some good stuff, actually.
Yeah, because they are featured
Yeah.
on CityCast. I'm I joke a little bit, but I do think it's the house that Megan built. And so you left that and you got into tech. That seems like such a left turn. What was the
Yeah.
bring us on that ride, Megan,
Yeah.
if you will.
I'll go backwards even. Which
I
is the
was born.
direction you were wanting, I'm sure. I remember being in college and I remember like there was a guy that I liked and it was
Not
like
your husband.
not my husband.
Wow.
There was a time when I was not
with you.
Paul.
Yeah. Well, Paul Caroli of the Changing Denver podcast.
The mononymous
The
Paul.
pizza podcast.
He doesn't
Infamous
yeah.
Paul Caroli, if you will.
Infamous, famous.
The Dark Lord of podcasting.
The Dark Lord. He who shall not be named. It was before I met Paul, and this guy was like, "Well, why are you studying international affairs?" And I was like, "I think it's cool." He's like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he's like, "No, what do
Yeah,
you?"
where'd you meet this guy? Was that at a bar? He's just interrogating you?
No, we'd gone out on a couple dates, and so we were like friendly.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, we're friendly friends. But he was like, "What do you wanna do?" And I was like, "I don't know." He's like, "No, really, what do you wanna do?" And I really did not have an answer, and he was like, "Fi okay, if you could do anything,
Mhm.
what would you do?" And I said, "Maybe I'd be a librarian or maybe I'd work for NPR," because I thought NPR was really cool. And so that's, like, what
An NPR girly.
when it was cool and fun and not, like, s sad and whatever it is now.
Exploiting true crime stuff, the tragedy of others.
I think I
I think
shouldn't shit
that's
talk them
no,
either.
not
It's
them. I
fine.
think that's what was that yeah,
Cereal?
Serial's doing, yeah. And I think that's why they move towards things like Guantanamo Bay because they're like,
You know what?
uh it's less predatory on, innocent people's suffering.
I think that they're trendsetters and that they're trying to move
What
the
is this,
genre
2014?
in
Okay.
but they're
Okay.
trying to move the genre around and they're trying to, like, set the tempo. And so maybe there's something in, like, a different approach to, like, crime reporting.
Yeah, it's like you don't have to do it, take advantage of people's
Yeah.
tragedies.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Bad.
Thank you. All right, but this guy's interrogating you.
Yeah, and I'm like,
I can see why it
"Well"
didn't last.
Um, yeah, so maybe I'd do NPR, and then I went and I did an internship at NPR, and I was like, "Okay, yeah, I like this. I wanna keep doing
How
this."
does an internship work? Or like, how'd you get it? How'd you
Um,
find it? Did you just Google it?
I
Craigslist?
I Googled it.
You walk into the studio?
I applied, like, 3 times before I got it, and it's
Someone with no radio experience or anything, you're just like, I'm interested.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I had an internship on the social media desk,
Okay.
so
This is like what, 2000, 2009, 2008?
2010-ish,
Okay.
maybe 2009?
Social
Um,
media blowing up at that time.
oh my god, it's so different.
Instagram,
This
completely different.
There was a dude who I worked with who's just, like, seen as a god, and he was just, like, good at Twitter. It was, like, that era of internet where it's like, "How could this possibly happen? How does Andy know about everything?" Um, but yeah, a different internet, a kinder internet, perhaps. And I did an internship at NPR, and then I wanted to keep doing writing stuff. I enjoyed the writing that I got to do. And that's how I started to do journalism, and I did that all the way up to Denverite, and Denverite, laid me off, and I was so mad when I
Yeah, because
got
it's the
laid
house that
off.
Megan built.
It's the house that Megan built. She hardened her hands at
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
keyboard.
We were talking about bricklaying. She did that
Yeah,
physically and with her mind,
yeah,
with her
moved
journalism.
incredible. I moved mountains. Um, what I did was fine, what I did was good.
Okay.
Um But I was really, really mad when I got laid off, and one of the things that happened is I part of what I thought was, like, I wanna make twice as much money as I made when I worked at Denverite, like, I'm gonna show them. I'm
A
gonna
little bit
make
of
s
spite
Yeah.
motivating you. I mean, which is the main motivator over here at Left Hand Right Brain.
Yeah. We're spite people.
Yeah. Yeah. As Hispanics. Oh, I know don't let me, don't want to derail you, but I want to bring up this idea of the Han for you. Okay.
Okay. Han.
The Juan.
Juan. Yeah, so it was kind of a spite career. I did this
Spite career move.
Yeah.
Nice.
I did this boot camp, and part of what I thought is my favorite stuff that I wrote for Denverite was like data journalism. Like, one of my favorite stories that I wrote for them was how much has Trump related graffiti cost the city of Denver? Because at the time there were a lot of Trump suck type tags. And I thought that doing tech would both advance my spiteful motivations and let me keep doing some of the data stuff. Um, and so I did and when I made that decision, I talked to a friend. I was like, "What's out there?" And she said, "There's this, this, and this. Turing is the hardest one." And I thought, well, if I'm going to do it, I want to do the hardest one. And so then I did that, and then I had opportunities to do
And touring
tech.
is a tech boot camp
Yeah.
kind of school. You come out with like a degree or you have like a diploma certificate. It's not like going to
Yeah.
a 4-year college.
Yeah.
Is there like a 4-year college thing for tech?
People get computer science degrees.
Okay, yeah, that's what it would be. But yeah, so it's like a boot camp, very intense.
Mhm.
My wife went through it. You went through it. I mean, I remember you guys talking about it and me asking Paul like how he was able to support you because it was very hard. It's just like 8 to 10 hours a day, like just on the computer,
Yeah.
learning how to do tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I mean, like you said, it sounds like magic. What is explain to the layman what tech is and what you learned from Turing maybe.
Turing is
Y-
focused on software development, so, well, or like web development.
Okay.
They split it into front end and back end. Front end is the styling part. Let's make this website like look
Look cool.
nice and like look good on a phone. Back end is more like let's make sure that when you use YouTube, you can get the video that you're looking for as fast as you can possibly find it. And
So this is the
yeah,
next guest I have coming in, and this is his website. So the way the website looks is front end,
yes.
and then being able to like click on this to get to his YouTube channel. That's like back end stuff.
Back end is like, so the way that the website might work there's a couple YouTube thumbnails, and there might be something in the front end that just says, "Hey, put this YouTube video here." The back end part is responsible for like maybe storing the video, maybe like other this is like most websites now are very front end heavy.
Yeah, this is probably like a Squarespace or something. Kind of a
Yeah.
template.
Like there's not a whole lot of back end. Okay, so he's got g- oh my god. He has a contact form.
Uh huh.
The sending of the email. Once you fill out that information and you press the button, that stuff's more back end than
Okay.
front end.
Yeah, because when you talk about tech, it just does seem like magic. So I was just like, yeah, what does it do? What do you? So you just like 1001 makes the Google email, connects the Google email to his contact form.
Yeah, I mean, you've talked to Mallory. There's
I don't talk to my wife as much as you think I do. Not just
I know you do.
no, just
Um,
joking.
there's coding languages and
Okay.
uh
I'm sorry if
you
this is very boring for you, but
I I don't
you're like,
know.
I'm so smart. It's like that meme with of Goodwill Hunting. He's like, you know how easy this is for me?
Oh
And
my
I'm sorry you
god.
don't understand it. That's like you talking to me right now.
No, I have a different problem with my work a lot, which is I think that journalism is cool and was cool. And I have a problem now where I'm like, oh, what I do now is so stupid. And so I think part of what you're getting is just me being like, it's whatever, jerk off motion. And it's like, it's hard for me to be like, no, it's cool. Cause like, that's the thing about moving for spite. It's like it's a little hot-headed.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I've done plenty of I wouldn't say things well, I'm not saying you regret this decision, but I've done made a lot of rash moves that, maybe weren't as well thought out as they could have been.
And I like what I do now. It's cool, but like I struggle to say that it's like really
Yeah, it's like
interesting.
cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, journalism's got a whole like bad boy kind of thing about it.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Those nerds, they think they're such hot shit.
Yeah. I did like on the last city cast, they were talking about how they've all gone to like city council meetings or whatever and like stayed very long and they're like that's the nerdiest thing to say, but like they all like took it as a badge of honor.
Oh yeah, that's the nerd version of hand hardening. It's like I sat in this meeting for hours.
Yeah. It's very funny. Yeah, it is. It is very
Well,
the public service version of it or whatever.
yeah. Yeah.
So we're getting to tech. Sorry. I mean, I don't. I want to get to to where you are now. So
Mhm.
just so like the people can understand you, so I can better understand you. And so now, but I mean, if you're gonna make a move out of spite, let's hope it gives you a pool's worth of money. So I mean, that's good.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you're in a very different spot than when I met you. You know, like you guys are homeowners now. You guys are doing, you're doing well. I mean, I don't, I'm not trying to like be weird or gauche about money or whatever, but it has afforded you a lifestyle that you enjoy, right?
yeah,
So that's good. That's a good thing. Is all I'm getting at.
yeah.
It's good.
No, I like that part of it a lot. Like, it's like a lot of my life is comfortable, and that's crazy.
Yeah. I
And
mean, the
that's
stress of money is just crazy. The
in
stress it puts on your life.
truly, truly. And
Yeah.
it's such a and I like the people that I work with now. Like, that's huge.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
I know, right?
Oh my god, it's so
Is
weird.
it just because like they're younger, so you can relate to them more? I mean, it's like there's not as much of a generational gap. Like with my job, it's a lot of old people, that just like never left,
That's
and so there's a
yeah.
disconnect. And they're not bad people. It's not that I don't like them or anything, but like a lot of them are just, and they're leaving now. Pandemic things like that.
The
They've
shocks
moved
on their
on.
bus wore out.
Yeah,
They finally got a
yeah, they're
ramrod
busty.
straight through their
Oh
back.
my God, Jesus.
Ugh. Um,
But yes, I mean, it's changing, but also it's, there is a generational thing with a lot of jobs I've had. There's a
yeah,
disconnect.
yeah.
Therefore, I haven't liked a lot of my coworkers,
It's so this is the first job I've had in like 4 jobs where I'm like, I have a friend at work. I have a
Okay.
couple friends at work.
Okay, cool.
It's so nice. I really don't take that for granted at all. And that I think that there's like common interests. I think that that's nice. I think that
Oh, yeah,
probably
yeah.
does come a little bit more from like a little more overlap in generations. I mean,
Yeah, they
like,
don't think technology's the devil.
no.
Yeah. A lot of coworkers I work with refuse to use Google Maps, or they hate that. They're like, that map's not going to take you where it is. And it's like, actually, it does.
Yeah.
I put in the exact address and it's like,
Incredible.
yeah. They're like, no, you don't want to take that. And I'm like, well, it's actually telling me that there's an accident on I-25, so maybe I shouldn't take it. They're like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah." It was a rough training process at work.
What a self-own. I mean, that's why people are mad when they're riding the bus or like the accessibility vehicles because they won't use Google Maps.
Yeah. And it's something I was actually, they talk about e-buses and things like that, or like, automation taking over driving a lot. Every time I get an older, well, I'll ask other people, but mostly older people who ride the bus who've been doing it for years and years. I'll be like, would you ride a bus that had that was like an electronic bus? And they're like, nope, wouldn't do it. I'm like, what about a bus that didn't have a driver? They're like, nope, wouldn't do it.
I thought the last time we talked about this, there were a couple people who just like looked you dead in the eyes and were like, yes, get rid of you.
No, no one said that.
Well, that's nice,
Maybe
I
that's
guess.
a bit you had in your head. You're like, wouldn't that be hilarious? Because that would be funny.
It would
That's
be.
a sketch, right?
You should
That's
like,
a sketch.
yeah,
But
like get out of here now. I
yeah,
drive the bus.
yeah. But I mean, they would refuse. So I don't know if
But
they'd be able to. RTD would be able to go fully electronic.
yeah, this reminds me of a different story that I heard where this guy who wrote a newsletter used to have images that were AI generated at the top. And he did it because it was just like, okay, well, these images are like funny. Like it's a Twitter bird, but it's sick with like Elon goo. I don't know. It it's a bad example. But you just
Elon
using
goo.
Dolly to generate a fun image instead of just having like a stock picture of a computer to illustrate his newsletter about tech. But so many people complained about it because they were like, well, you're taking away jobs from like an illustrator, you're taking away jobs from so and so, that you just stop doing it. And his point of view was like, I was never gonna pay an
Yeah.
illustrator to do
Say,
this.
who's gonna fucking pay an artist to do that?
Yeah, I was gonna like maybe get like a stock image from AP or Getty, but like it was pissing people off. And so I just stopped doing it. So I do think that it's interesting that like the thing, I mean, it's obvious, I suppose, but like the thing that stops the march of AI is us because we're just like, nah, I don't like it. It's kind of cool. We
Did
still
you?
have some agency.
Yeah. But I mean, tech is embracing AI stuff so much now. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, my wife can't even really, I mean, from what I've gleaned from her job search, she was laid off late last year. hasn't found a job because like there aren't really jobs for her. Where she got to in the tech industry, you got to master queen lady
Yeah.
status.
Yeah, yeah,
My wife
yeah.
hadn't quite got there yet.
Yeah. She's
She
more
was a
like a
Padawan. She was
rogue captain, lieutenant, and
yeah,
I'm,
yeah. You just been in it longer doing in the game,
yeah.
and uh, but yeah. So the AI thing seems to be like taking away those positions.
Sometimes I think
Is
about
that something
that.
you're worried about?
Yeah.
And how do we stop it?
Sometimes I I should try and sock away more money because eventually they'll
So you do think eventually it'll dry up?
mm,
Eventually it'll come for you?
it's I guess. No, I don't think it can completely relate replace humans because I do use it at work. Like it's nicer than a Google search for some of the stuff that I work
Like
on.
Chat GBT?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
It's the thing I use is powered by the same engine. And
Like brain? When you say engine, you mean brain?
uh it's powered by the same model. It's a GPT-4 which I think is the same as
Model.
Chat GPT.
Male model, female model.
As long as it's hot,
Zoolander.
does it matter? Uh it's
Is it ridiculously good looking?
it's got the best. It's got Blue Steel
Whoa, nice.
007. Um no, they just make different generations of these technologies with I don't actually know much about this, but they I think mostly the improvement on models is how much of the internet they're able to eat up. And I think that the different generations are partly based on having a bigger sample size. Um, but why were we talking about models?
Sorry, I
ChatGPT.
was trying to log into Chat GBT.
Wrong time to ask you a question.
Well, we're talking about tech and
Oh, is
AI.
it gonna replace me?
My wife
Yeah.
can't get a job. Or, sorry. I mean, I hope that's not insensitive or, it's been a lot harder, and like the
Yeah.
tech, everyone says the tech bubbles burst is what I've heard.
We said at the very beginning, I was like, I have a lot of feelings about this, and this is like the feeling part is w- like it's. I do feel like I got very lucky in terms of the timing when I started, and my brother went to Turing too, and feeling
It's
guilt
like, it's
that
very
it's
sweet that
not.
you're like, hey, let's bring
Yeah,
everyone along. This worked for me.
yeah,
It's very successful. You're
yeah,
like, hey, this is very,
yeah,
I mean, I love that meant that was your mentality of like, let's all do this. Let's all rise together.
yeah, and then the bottom falls out. I don't think that the bottom has fallen out. I
What
think
does that mean? Like, there's no jobs. People aren't
yeah,
hiring.
yeah. Well, the jobs that there are fewer of are the entry level ones because that's
Yeah.
the easiest level stuff to say, "Oh, we think that an AI can do this." I don't even know if I believe that. A lot of these companies probably would be better off having another human around because there's so many things that people do. You're teaching someone else about how your system works, you're starting to learn how your own system works better. You're starting to document it better. You're like feeling happier because there's nice people around you.
Right.
Like that's one of the things I don't like about working with AI is I have a instinct to turn to the AI more than a person. And I think it's good to humble yourself and just admit you don't know stuff to a person instead of to AI.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, the AI is not going to judge you as where like a boss might think less of you,
I'm
I
like,
guess is the fear.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my god, my coworkers will know that I don't know how to do this. They'll figure out that I've, conned my way here. That feels bad.
Sure. So I get why the draw to go to the chat GBT.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think it's easier to knock around joke ideas with chat GBT versus talking to another comic.
Why? Cuz
Because they have their stupid opinions about what they think is funny.
that's it's really I'm
I'm talking about Patrick Scott. He's always just like, hey, why don't you cut the fat on that? Why do you have to say that? I'm like, he's like, shorten it. I'm like, no, I want to expand it. Expand the joke. Expand it, storytelling.
But it is good to, like, people are what determines what something is funny.
Well, yeah, and I'll take it to stage and I'll figure it out there.
Yeah.
That'll be the deciding factor.
I think, like, playing with a person is good.
Sure, yeah. If you guys match,
Yeah.
sensibilities.
Yeah, because there are things that, like, I'll be like, this is very funny. And then, like, Paul or whoever doesn't think it's funny. And I'm like, well, you're wrong. So,
That's funny.
and then sometimes I'm right and it is funny and then it makes somebody else laugh and you're right. And then other times, like, he is right and I just sort of concocted something that is nothing.
Yeah, well, if you find something funny, then it's funny to you, but whether you can communicate that to an audience is different.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, like, having that test of conviction, like, if your friend's like, this fucking sucks, and you're like, maybe it does suck a little, and then you can, like, throw it away, but then, like, every once in a while, you're like, no, this is actually really funny, then it's like, and, like, gives you a nudge to, like, come at it from a different angle, or figure out
Sure.
what it is that people relate to, so you can, like, get to the core of what's
Yeah,
actually funny about it.
Yeah, and I think this is, I feel like you came to the last Comedy State of the Video Star show, and I did a lot of material that I hadn't done too much testing of. I feel like you maybe thought that was a little rambly now. That's where you're like, yeah, JD, you could cut the fat off of some of those jokes. I was like, I was just trying to make you and Paul laugh because you're the ones that have seen all my material. So I was like, what new things could I do for Megan and Paul to find funny?
Yeah. Which is, I
You
think,
didn't
like,
appreciate it?
no, I think
You'd
it's
rather
good.
see me do the same thing over and over again?
No, I like hearing the new stuff. I think
Okay.
that, like, saying the same jokes, like, that's the part of comedy that seems really hard. You have to do the same jokes to, like, you have to
Yeah, you
do
build an
them.
act. You build an act.
Yeah, but even to build the act, you have to tell the same jokes over and over again. And, like, that's hard to think something, for me, it's hard to think something's funny more than once.
Sure. Yeah, it's like a magic trick once you know how it's done.
Yeah.
It's not as funny.
Yeah, and so, like, the part of me that's like, "Oh, brother, like, this sucks." It just, like,
Oh,
pops right
brother.
out. So I do appreciate that it's, like, hard to try something new, but also, like, it's new. Like, some of it's just not gonna work right because you haven't,
Sure.
like, pulled out the parts that are right.
Yeah, it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
Everything's constantly evolving. There's not a lot of repetition in what you do, doing the same things over and over again with tech stuff.
Uh, ideally, well, I guess that's how you build expertise, but,
It's
like,
like someone who builds YouTube links to YouTube or something. I don't know. I don't even know what you
it
build restaurant websites.
yeah. Offer code,
Yeah, what is
left
someone
hand, right
special? What
brain.
is someone special in? What does someone specialize in? Like, what is that?
I work with someone who's really good at the infrastructure and, like, fixed a bunch of stuff with Elasticsearch and Redis, and because, like, even though I'm on the back end, there's stuff that's even more back end than me. There's somebody
So he's worked with
who
what more than you that he's like specialized in? Which
Elasticsearch,
is
which is it is a it's a it's a it's a NoSQL database that helps you get information back faster. I'm
like
pretty
Chat
sure.
GPT.
No, ChatGPT is a language learning model.
Okay, so
Sorry.
someone that's fine. So he just has more experience with that. So he's in a sense specialized with
Y-
that.
yeah, there's some people. Okay, there's a less intense way to explain this. Uh, there are some people that are whose only job it is to work on the database, whose only job it is to make sure
A
that,
database is
um
like a pool of information?
yeah, it is. If you had a restaurant website, you might have a database for all your recipes.
Okay.
When I worked at elections, there was a database of all the voters.
Wow. So you are tracking us.
Yeah, so hard. I
I mean the government, not Megan specifically.
well, I don't know if this is like a get me in trouble thing, but once I changed somebody famous's voter registration, not just like to fuck with them, but because they submitted a change, and I was like, "Wait, this name sounds familiar." And it was.
John Elway.
It was John Elway's son.
Oh shit. Okay.
Um,
So he went from Democrat to independent or something?
I do not remember.
Like, but I mean, just something that needed to change like that.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like,
Phone number, address,
yeah,
some shit.
maybe he moved.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't know. Like, I think I'm not supposed well, it's like, it would have been bad if I was
You're
like,
not supposed to recognize celebrities.
"Great, he lives here now? I'm writing this down so I can take it home and, like, visit him later."
You didn't do that, is what you're saying.
I did not do that. Parody, parody.
But, so you did just recognize the name, is what all you're
Yeah,
saying. Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and it was like, God, that job sometimes was dull, but that was the highlight of my day one day.
Sure. Yeah, I can see how that'd be exciting in the
So exciting.
doldrums of government work.
Oh my god, Elway, this can only mean one thing.
When I was really young, I worked for a debt collection agency when I was in community college, and it was just a couple hours in the evenings. You call people, try and get them to fucking pay their set up payment plans for their
Brutal.
fucking medical bills and shit. But I got the mom of a girl I went to school with,
Oh,
and I recognized her.
no.
And I fucking hooked
Oh.
her. She was mean to me at first, 'cause she was like, "Are you fucking bugging me? Blah blah blah. This happened. I can't pay." Da da. It's like, well, let's try and set up a payment plan. Like blah blah blah. I was like, "What can you pay?" And like, I set up a payment. I got fired from that job basically because I set up so many payment plans where like people weren't even because people want to pay their bills. They don't want to be
Yeah.
in debt. They want to figure it out. But it's like if you can't reach a certain minimum, you're not even paying the interest that's accruing on these things. So like, they don't want you to do that. But
Yeah.
it's like you get out of debtor status if you set up a payment plan. So I would set up these payment plans with people for however much they say they could pay a month, but it's like it's not even covering the interest on their fucking bill. So it's like not worth it to the debt collection agency. So anyway, I set her up with a fucking sweet ass deal. And then I got fired a couple weeks later. But not for that one specifically, but I did it a bunch. Because I didn't care. I didn't give a fuck, dude. I was just like, I'm here to get a paycheck. Like, I hate this job anyway.
People are so shitty like that. I guess I get why the company is like, "No, we need you to actually collect the debt."
Yeah.
But
And some people are really good at it, man. Like, some people are fucking ruthless.
dude, what is there's a documentary on HBO. It might be called like Call Center. It's like one of the Safdie brothers helped produce it,
Uh-huh.
but it's about like how there was a big network of call centers and the people who worked there, like it's an entry level job, and so mainly they hired like people getting out of jail, people getting out of prison, people who were like
Oh, yeah. I think I've
using.
heard of this, yeah.
Yeah, it was so interesting and so intense because like the people who were like good at that job, you're like, I could not do that. That's really, really hard. But
Yeah.
also like the dude who was the best at the job was like actively
worst person.
addicted
Yeah.
to like heroin and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
nodding out at his like station. But like, damn if he couldn't get people to like donate to this fake thing.
Yeah. I don't know, any through lines with tech in that industry, you think? People who are best at tech are the ones who like fucking just get a bunch of Adderall and zone out for 24 hours and then snooze for 3 days. But it's like what they get done that 24 hours is so intense.
I think the people who are mm, I don't there's not a through line, but I do think you know how you're like, oh, they like do a bunch of Adderall and then they doze off for 24 hours and they do 10 minutes of work and they're done. I do think there are people who are super smart and work for less hours in a day just because they're like, I don't need 8 hours to get this done." But the people who are the thing that shocks me is the people who are assholes, like, don't last at most companies. Like, they get bounced off because
Because you
you
still need to be likable at
Yeah.
a job.
Yeah.
There still is a human aspect that like, so unless you're like a fucking rock star, which is like maybe one person out of
Oh my god.
so many, right?
Yeah. I,
But they
like
get glorified in media, so you're like, yeah, he's like the fucking uh, idiot savant. And that's not might not be the right word.
Yeah, I
He's
think
like the
that's
Sherlock Holmes guy
Yeah.
who's like so good at what he does
Yeah.
that he can be a dick in every other respect.
I listened to this episode of The Intelligence from The Economist, and they talked about this phenomenon about, like, the, talented jerk, and they were like, talented jerks in a workplace, like, might not be as much of a problem from an economic point of view as, nice underperformers. And I was like, "Damn, Red for Filth. That's me. I'm the nice underperformer."
You think?
Um, I think I'm doing okay. I think I'm doing okay right now, but I do there's also, like, a trope on Instagram where they're like, the personality hire, and, like,
Oh, there
sometimes
is? So is
oh,
that like the new diversity hire thing?
no, I don't remember who
Oh shit.
made
Just kick my camera, sorry.
That's right. We'll just say there was an earthquake.
There was an earthquake,
That would
everybody.
be a Mr. Beast, like, moment. I saw a Get Ready With Me where someone was, like, kinda dressed in a heinous outfit, but then an earthquake.
Heinous. I haven't heard that since fucking Xenon of the 21st century.
It was, like, a little bit like
Totally heinous.
Scooby-Doo,
You're bringing back all the cool lingo from the early aughts, late 90s that I love.
wow.
Cetus Lapidus.
Yeah. Um,
Generation Puke.
Totally tubular.
Yeah. All right, so or personality hire. Sorry.
Personally, yeah. This one person on Instagram makes, shorts where it's like a bunch of people working really hard and they're like, "Oh no, the permit for our event just got pulled." Like, "Oh, this is awful. How are we going to make this happen?" And then the personality hire walks in and is like, "Oh, we had an event today? Oh, there's a problem? Oh, let me just call my friend. Let me see if they can like make something happen." And then the personality hire fixes it. Ah, this is a terrible explanation.
So they have connections more than their person because they're positive.
Yeah, it's like they're fun to be around.
Okay,
The
yeah, yeah.
personality hire is someone who's in the office just because you have a good
God, I
time.
wish I was that person. I wish I could be that person that people like wanted to be. I mean, I don't think I'm terrible to everybody, but I'm definitely not for everybody. So it's like, it's hard.
That's why I like go
I'm
so
just too
hard on
real.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
That's why I go so hard on icebreakers and stuff like that.
Because you want to be likable.
Yeah.
Okay, and you think this is like a
Like it's kind of my lane. I think that people at work I think that people at work don't hate me. I think that like I have a
because they
couple
like
friends.
your icebreaker. But
That's the only thing they like.
we were talking about this before we started recording. Is you always have an icebreaker question? It's
Yeah.
like my my version of the lightning round questions. It's like just a fun little quick thing to like break the ice. And is that just a product of like doing Zoom stuff during work? When COVID hit and you had to do everything from Zoom. Just a
Yeah.
way to get people talking on those chats, the
Yeah.
meetings.
Yeah.
Are you typing this or are you talking?
What do you mean?
Like when you're on Zoom, are you is this in the chat? Or
Oh.
are you actually talking like, hey guys, what do you think? Turn on
Oh
your
my
cameras,
God.
please.
No,
Because I got a question for you. Or is this like happening off to the side in like a chat? Like
normally
a
I
text
say
chat.
because like
Okay.
sometimes like
Because I hate when texts are going off on the side while I'm trying to have a conversation.
it's really I never can follow it. But the thing that like vaguely flatters me that's not actually flattering is sometimes I'll be like, "Okay, here's the question. What's your favorite flower?" And then like somebody will put it in the chat so that if people join afterwards, they can see what the question was and join in.
Hmm.
But
I
yeah.
thought they think their answer's so good. They just have to put it out there for everybody to be able to see later.
That
Oh
never
my God.
happens.
Joan's favorite flower? Carnation. Who would have guessed?
Loser. Sounds like somebody never got asked to prom.
So let's say you have better icebreakers than that, right?
No,
No.
yeah, well, I did do
Favorite smells was a big one.
favorite smells, favorite flowers,
We famously talked
world-class
about that
athlete,
on
the
episode
road.
300.
Oh,
We talked
really?
about our favorite smells.
Oh, good. We got it. We got it in. Was that the donut bracket
Yes,
episode?
that was the donut bracket episode.
Ugh. Good times.
Dude, one of the ones I totally forgot about, we had a very in-depth discussion about sexism in comedy. I was like, Jesus Christ, that was crazy. I had no idea. I'd totally forgotten we had that conversation.
Yeah, I don't remember it.
Okay, well,
well,
I
was
guess
in a
I'd
fugue
forgotten until I
state. Yeah.
listened. So, I guess so. I want to get to is like when people think of tech, they think like guy in basement, just lit by the light of the screen. Is that what tech is still, or what is it now? I guess not. Swimming pool size. Guys living in mansions now doing that.
Well, sometimes I like to sit in the basement with all the lights off on the couch and my laptop. So that's a little bit, I guess tech is still that.
Like a golem or like a dwarf is what vibe are you going for? Golem is like leave me alone. I'm hiding from the sun. And dwarf is just like, this is where I'm comfortable. And when I need light, I will bring light into this.
I thought you were like dwarf. They like work in the mine and I'm doing something
That's also true. Yeah, you're working. Where Gollum is not working really.
No.
He's just loitering.
It's sort of like another like elaborate mind trick where if there's no light and there's only the screen, maybe I'll focus harder.
Is focus been a problem for you?
No, I fixate on like
a lot of things
the
is like
productivity.
focus based. Okay.
Yeah, like if I meditate harder, I'll be more focused.
And
Like,
is that one of the sorry, let's hit the mic. Is that one of the traps of working from home or in this tech industry? Is like because one thing when my wife was working was like she was constantly worried she wasn't doing enough.
Yeah, I think
and like clocking
probably
off at 5 and being like, is that enough?
Yeah.
Your hours aren't set in stone. I mean, in the same way as like if I go to an office and then I leave, then I'm obviously not at work.
Yeah.
So it's like, is that something that's hard? Is it a mind fuck? Is it a trick that they're using to get you to work harder?
I normally, if I get my work done, I'm okay signing off like maybe an hour early. Like sometimes I'll go to a 4 o'clock workout.
Nice.
Yeah. But I do.
I love that. I love people who are like doing, at least taking advantage of the flexibility their job gives them.
Yeah. Well, that's the nice thing about the shift from journalism to tech is I'm like a lot more focused on making sure that my work is not taking advantage of me. Because in media, it's like a lot more passion. So,
yeah. Like this should be your whole life.
Yeah. So like going in what to me feels a little bit like the opposite direction. It's like, well, am I really going to add extra hours of work for this thing that doesn't actually need to be done right now? Like a lot of times stepping away is what makes solving the problem easier and better. Which is crazy and kind of
I don't know about crazy. It's a little counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, if I go for a walk, that's gonna. But I mean, all the greats did it.
Yeah.
Lincoln, famous for going for walks, and he was like, hey, maybe slavery's bad. Great.
He had the best idea. Like, slavery is bad. We should get rid of it. Thank you.
That came from a walk.
It would have never occurred to him otherwise. I didn't know Lincoln liked walks.
I think I read that in a book. Listened to it in a book, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I believe it.
Thank you. Which you should believe everything. I think. Just throwing that out there, guys.
Yeah. If I don't say I believe it, what I meant is I don't believe you. I'm politely nodding.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's just getting older, feeling taken advantage by other jobs, but I do really like when people take advantage of the freedom their job gives them, I guess. Because some people be like, oh, that's time theft or blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, fuck yourself, this idea of time theft. And one thing I hate with like tech jobs or like higher end jobs now, fancier jobs, they give you unlimited time off, but that's also just a way for them to be like, we can deny any time off you want, and because nothing's guaranteed, and people are less likely to take that time, and then you don't get compensated for that. Like my job, yeah, I might only get 2 weeks a year right now, but if I don't use that, I get paid for that.
Yeah.
And if I want to use it, they can't tell me no. They might be like, hey, maybe not this week or whatever, but they can't deny me these 2 weeks. I get
Yeah.
that, which is, I don't know. I'm just trying to grasp at whatever straws that make me feel like I have autonomy in this world, I guess, that I can.
Truly. Yeah. I mean, also, I can't believe I like my cousin gives me a hard time when I'm not doing a little bit of time theft in my work.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean,
Like,
if you're not feeling a little guilty about stuff that you're doing at work, then they're completely taking advantage of you, because the system is made to take advantage of people.
yeah,
So, and
fully.
I got that from Hannah Jones, and I'm like, I'm on board. I love this.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, like, I just think that, I don't know, a lot of jobs, some jobs I just didn't have enough to do. And so it was like, what am I gonna do? Like, go ask for, that's not the case with where I work now, but like, what am I gonna do? Go beg for more work? No, I'm gonna like
Milk it.
leave my computer and like go garden for a couple of hours in the middle of the day.
Oh shit.
Like that's how I got good at Spanish, is because I worked at a couple places that like didn't actually have enough for me to do.
And you were able to devote some time to some extracurriculars,
Yeah.
which is great. Because one of the things I did remember talking to you about in one of the first pods we did was like we could both have kind of like we had kind of a shame that we didn't know Spanish, and that was
Yeah.
kind of like a gatekeepy thing for our Hispanic heritage. But now you've totally, despite, learned Spanish, right? To show everybody, how
There
Mexican you
is
can be.
I did sort of spite learn Spanish.
Hell yeah,
There's
dude!
like
I love it. I love it.
one person in my life who was like tweeting in Spanish, and I was like, this motherfucker, this white motherfucker is gonna know Spanish before I know Spanish? Fuck that. I have money now. I'm learning Spanish.
Nice. Yes, that's so good, dude. I love that.
And like, yeah, sometimes being spiteful is good, and sometimes being spiteful is
Yeah,
bad.
I feel like it's working for you. I don't think it's ever been a bad thing in your life. You're great.
Thanks. Yeah. Also, like, oh man, some of the spiteful things I've done, I'm still just like proud of. Like when I was in college and I was mad at my roommate, and so I opened a can of beans and I left it in her closet until it started to
Little on the
smell
nose,
really
huh,
bad.
Megan?
Yeah.
Can of beans from the Mexican.
Oh God. Now I'm embarrassed.
Were
But
they
like,
black beans? Pinto beans?
they're probably black
Refried
beans. I was eating a lot of black
I'm a
beans at
big
the
refried
time.
beans guy.
In a can? You don't
Yeah.
smash them yourself and add a little bit of...
No, what? That's way too much work.
Oh my God.
Do you, when you get a can of black beans, do you rinse the juice from the can out, or and then cook them, or do you just put it all in the pot?
That juice is that's good juice.
That's good juice.
I use the Instant Pot to make beans now. I have like a good recipe like locked in where I use some beer in them. Actually,
Whoa.
Paul makes the beans more often than I do. Paul rolls more burritos than I do, and I'm like,
That's a very interesting way to say that. He rolls more burritos than I do.
we make a lot of burritos for
You
lunches.
work at a Qdoba over here?
We'll do like 20 burritos and then just have them in the freezer so that you can just like have a burrito for lunch.
All right.
But like,
I mean, I get it. I mean, that's very
yeah,
responsible adult food prep.
he can't die because I would be sad,
Your
but
husband
also
can't die.
he can't die because I would have to go back to being the one who rolls the burritos, and then I would be exposed as a fraud.
Or you wouldn't just learn? You don't think
No,
you'd just learn?
I wouldn't learn. I'd
It's just constantly
just
be
cry
flat
into
open
my
burritos
beans.
with.
Why won't this close?
Yeah, you're just trying to close it like a taco. It just keeps
Yeah.
flopping up.
But beans are good. Beans are really good.
Do you feel more pride as a, or do you feel some kind of a ethnic pride now that you know Spanish more? Do you feel,
It
has
feels
anything changed?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. It feels like I gave myself permission to be in spaces that I wasn't comfortable being in before. Um, like I'll go to a Spanish language meetup or I'll go to um like events at the Museo de las Americas on Santa Fe.
Which is
It's like Latin American art.
okay.
Um, it's cool. I like it. They had a lucha event that was really fun.
Lucha Libre and laughs.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The least, I mean, you don't need no Spanish for that one.
I
No one's
truly
speaking Spanish there.
actually there were a lot of people speaking Spanish. There was this cute little girl who's like getting really into it, like "Mátalo, mátalo," like kill him, kill him.
Oh shit.
It was awesome.
Yeah, but
But
that's the audience, not the performers.
yeah, but like that's a space that I would have been very like, oh no, I don't know if I should be there. I
Even
look
though
too white. I'm
okay.
yeah, and so feeling more comfortable with Spanish has sort of like just let me be more open.
Be more Megan.
Yeah. Well, it's nice.
Está Megan.
Sí, estoy Megan.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think that
Yeah.
sounded wrong.
Well,
Estoy.
also it would be soy because
Soy.
it's just like a
Is that the
constant.
Queen Spanish?
I
Did you learn Castilian?
no, but I am thinking of trying to do a certification
Okay.
that would I'd have to learn Vosotros, which I don't really
Which is
want
like
to
a
do.
different form. It's a formal version of Spanish that they speak in Spain.
Vosotros is a tense.
Yeah.
So in like Latin American Spanish, it's just like
Gutter Spanish.
it's so dirty and bad. There's you,
Yeah.
and then if you're talking to like if I'm talking about
two.
you, yeah, two, and then you and Mallory would be ustedes. But
We.
and then if it's you and me, then it's nosotros.
Then it's vamonos because we're getting out of here.
Wrap it up. Wrap it up. We're talking about grammar. This is the worst guest that's ever been on the pod.
I think the Spanish thing is fine. But so you wanted to learn Spanish out of spite, which is I applaud. And then so what was the journey there? You just got a tutor? You start watching videos? I watch Spanish with Paul sometimes. Paul.
I lived in Capitol Hill and there was a school and I paid for lessons once a week.
Nice.
And
how much was that? Because it seemed like out of range because I was like, yeah, I have money now. So it's like, do you have to be, my thought was like, you have to be rich to know Spanish, which is not true. I mean, like, I was just curious how much that ran about a week.
I think
you pay for a couple months in advance?
No, I think it was like
you just pay
a
once
month.
a week or a month?
I think it may have been 300 or so. I don't remember.
It's less than 100 a week?
Yeah.
And they just talk to you in Spanish, or is it like they
I had
give
like
you
homework. It was like
it's like a class. It's like taking a class.
Yeah, it was very very like high school Spanish, like the same textbooks, and like you take a placement test and they're like, okay, do this, and then I'd have homework to do, and then like yeah, you just do the homework, you talk to somebody, you get like one-on-one attention, so it's kind of like
ooh, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
The one-on-one's very good.
Yeah, you can't hide.
Yeah.
I like that about it because otherwise it
really forces you to do it.
Yeah.
So you're going to learn way quicker. I'd be more uncomfortable, but you're also going to be making leaps and bounds a lot quicker.
What someone said once is you don't have an opportunity to hear other people's mistakes. And I think that might be right. Like because
So it's a drawback from the one-on-one?
No, it's a good thing because when you're talking, I don't know about you, but I mirror a lot of what I'm the person that I'm with. And so I'm picking up on other things that other people are saying. And so if I hear someone very confidently say the wrong, I mean, it kind of literally just happened. You were like, "Está Megan," and then I was like, "No, it's estoy," and then I was like, "Wait a second, it's soy." So it's like I just want to mirror you, And unless you're, like, really conscious, it's easy to just, like, get into a habit of saying the wrong thing
Mhm.
because of other people's mistakes.
Yeah. And
Other people.
now I know you have like a tutor that you'll speak in Spanish with, because I mean
Mhm.
you have to keep that you got to keep it.
Yeah,
I'm trying to make a bad analogy. You just got to say practiced up. You got to keep using that muscle, or it'll atrophy pretty quick, huh?
truly, yeah, that's how I feel about it because sometimes I'm like, "Ugh, I really don't like, I've learned so much, I'm a genius now, like, do I really wanna keep doing this?" But I really don't wanna lose how far I've come, so that is a big incentive to just,
Yeah.
like, kind of
How
keep
long did
it
you do the
going.
classes?
Until the pandemic.
And is there like a point where you're like, okay, we're done, or like you've done all the coursework we have here, so like now go forth and be speaking in Spanish, or is it just like
It
you
was
could just keep going as long as you want to?
it was literally the pandemic because at that time,
Pandemico.
uh
I don't think that's right.
la pandemia.
Pandemia sounds way better.
Um,
La pandemia,
sí, la pandemia.
girlies.
All the lessons were on Zoom, and it sucked, so I didn't wanna do it in Zoom anymore.
Sure.
Uh, but it's also more expensive, and so I was like, "Well, the part that I like is talking anyway," like, because I still am bad about independent study, like doing homework and doing exercises. So I would spend as much time as I could just doing the chit chat, like, tell me about yourself. Oh, you work where? And uh, I figured that if I stopped taking the lessons, I would, from the school, I would save more money and I would just get a chance to do the part that I liked, which was talking.
Dinero.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm just
S-
kidding.
Good job. You
Thank you.
got it.
uh yeah. So I don't know. That's very I think that's super cool. I want to do it too. I think I do think it'd be really cool to be able to do like a pod in Spanish, or like
Yeah.
some Spanish stand up.
Tom Segura does that,
Yeah, Tom
right?
Segura's been doing it, and I think it's a smart business move because people hate him here now. So
Really?
yeah, everyone says his pod's falling off. He's just like trying to be an influencer more than a comedian, and
Huh.
uh,
Yeah, that's like an interesting line you have to walk.
yeah, like Kevin Hart. Like he's a brand now
I think of him
versus
more of an actor. Like I wouldn't wanna.
he's like working with Chase Bank. He's got a whole like. I watched his like documentary on YouTube. He's got a couple like self-helpy books that came out on Audible. He's like
I
doing
think
something else.
that's cool. I
It's
like.
cool, but it's also not what brought him to the party kind of a thing.
I guess so, but like I read the Steve Martin book.
Mm-hmm.
Uh
Born standing up.
yes. Uh and I liked the way he looked at his career. Like he was like, "Well, I don't know if I wanna do like, I feel a little bit stuck in this format, like, I want to do something else, I want to, like, keep growing," and I like the way that he shifted, like, from magician to comedy to, like, more of a writer and actor, like, for his own interests, but also, like, stability.
Yeah, but I mean, he's still working in the arts. I mean, he's a playwright. He's done a lot, but I mean, he's still working in those mediums versus where I feel like Tom Segura's like selling tequila. He's got a tequila brand. He's like
Danny McBride is selling
a
tequila
lot of people
tequila, yeah.
sell tequila. The Rock selling tequila.
No,
Dramana.
why can't we have some mezcal? Actually,
I don't.
probably
I'm
there's a
trying not to drink
Casamigos.
as many. Casamigos is the Breaking Bad guys, right?
Isn't that one is George
Dos.
Clooney
Yeah.
and
See, I mean, why is everyone getting into tequila too? Maybe because
oh
there's something
my
shady going on in
god.
Mexico.
It's probably, like, the cheapest thing to brand and, like but anyway, Kendall Jenner has a tequila also.
Wow.
So it's the division from arts
Well,
that
yeah.
is
Well, actually, like doing
upsetting.
something like acting, or doing that kind of work as an entertainer versus I'm
Okay,
selling you something. I guess is
okay.
where the line is with like Segura or something.
Because I was talking about John Leguizamo recently,
Uh huh. Uh huh.
and I know him more as an
Playwright.
actor. I didn't really I'm ignorant. I didn't know that he started as a stand-up.
Yeah, stand up. He did one man shows like on Broadway stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's like a lot of people that have.
But I don't think the actor versus stand up is like where the line is, because that's still within like the entertainment realm.
Okay.
But like, yeah, influencer is where I think the line is being drawn, because he's like,
Tom
Tom
Segura's
Segura's
not
selling a bunch of
influencing me to
stuff.
do
Not you, because you're
anything.
not listening to his pod. So if you
Yeah.
if you listen to fucking Your Mom's House or Two Bears One Cave, it's all like, hey, drink our tequila, fucking bring our, buy our shit.
Well, that's too bad.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm getting.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's very cool that you learn Spanish. I wish I could learn it. I guess I need you to insult me in some way that I need to spike can fuel my learning as well. We'll do it later. You don't have to do it.
Yeah. I'm workshopping.
Yeah,
I
we'll
have a
have to
couple of
start
good
your own
insults.
Spanish speaking podcast where I'm like, they're fucking roasting you on that pod, dude.
Oh my God. That's fun. I'll just like record.
Yeah, start your own podcast
podcast
in Spanish.
Perfect. Spite will fuel up my empire.
I was thinking we should start a podcast. Like, we could do a whole podcast ourselves. We call it like, what would it be called if we were gonna do a pod? Los Chupacabros has already been taken.
Yeah. Also, I'm not
like
broy enough.
I didn't think it was broy. That was one trailer Paul listened to, and I think he really painted the whole podcast with that.
I was just being literal because bro's in it.
Chupacabras.
Chingones.
Los chingones. That's balls, right?
Chingona and chingon is kind of just like cool.
Hmm.
I mean, somebody's gonna like read me for filth, be like, "You idiot! It doesn't mean that. I actually speak Spanish, stupid." What would we? What are our common interests?
Paul.
We could be Los Ballistas, the Pablos, the Pablos.
Yeah, the Pablos, the Pablas. The
Podnificence.
Pablos is fun because pod's in it.
Mm-hmm.
Podlos.
Podlos.
The Podlo. And then there'll be a hyphen. The Podlo.
You know what's frustrating is podcast in Spanish is podcast. Podcast. It's just the same word. So there's not much to draw from there. Yeah. I mean, I'm a horrible improviser.
It could just be the podcast, but we could pronounce it in Spanish.
El podcast.
El podcast. El podcast.
El podcast.
Have you heard El podcast?
It would be great. People would be like, I mean, yes, I've heard of podcasts before. Like, no, you haven't heard
we're the
this podcast.
Yeah, we're the podcast. We gotta get in. We gotta get in before it gets someone else takes it.
Spotify is spending money on Spanish language podcasts.
I know. I've noticed a lot of Spanish speaking things coming up. So I'm like, I need to get in on that.
Yeah,
I could be very famous in Spain.
Speak Spanish.
Yeah, step one, I gotta learn a language.
But that's interesting too. Just like the process of learning.
Yeah, I was hearing somebody and they're saying like, if you don't get into a language early, you're never going to be very fluent in it, or you might not feel it's hard to feel comfortable in that language, and you can't be funny unless you're comfortable, things like that, because you just don't have the time to devote to it. Like when you're a kid, you're not working, so it's like you had the time to to take off of work and learn, which is great.
Yeah.
But it's also, you're not as good as you would be if you were doing it nonstop.
Oh, fuck no. Also, doing comedy in another language. I've watched a couple other comedians.
Eddie Izzard does it. He does it in 5 different languages. Yeah, he takes his act and he'll learn Spanish and he'll do it in Spanish and he'll do it in French. He'll do it in German. He'll do it in Italian.
But it's also.
I think there's some cultural things, but I mean, he's already European, so.
Yeah.
I don't know how different it is there.
I watched Carlos Vallarta. I've watched a couple of his stand-ups, and it's all very it's culturally Mexican, and watching stand-up in Spanish is subtitles on, slow-mo. It's so hard because there's the concept of albur, which is kind of like a double entendre.
Okay.
And And that stuff is so hard to pick
Yeah,
up
the
on.
subtlety would be, yeah. But that's like, it's so fun to play in those things, you know? Like, that's where a lot of comedy comes from. Not all of it, but I mean, stuff I like, you know? And I do like to be in on the joke, you know? So I wouldn't want to feel like I'm not in.
Yeah.
So that would be a deterrent for me.
Well, you should, yeah. You don't want to, if you don't want to lose the joke, you should try watching a couple like Netflix.
I've been listening to Harry Potter in Spanish, but
Yeah.
that's about the extent of it.
Can't go wrong. Oh,
With
what's the
Harry
word?
Potter.
What's the word for wand? It begins with a V.
It's been a minute.
Varita? La varita mágica, tal vez? I don't know.
Sounds great. You already got the accent, you're rolling stuff.
Oh my God, I couldn't roll my R's either.
Ooh,
for
a whole journey.
Years, and I was just like, that's not a door. That's just like one of those doors. It's not open to me. And doing it for long enough, you can like learn how to do.
It's like a muscle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I'm not gonna be native language fluent, but also I can like watch a show or do something else that like I would have never been able to do.
No, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. I got our pizza because the guy
Yeah,
last time we hang out, there was a pizza mishap, and the person who
pizza mishap where the delivery driver was speaking Spanish.
Yeah, and
he couldn't find the house, and you brought it. You got him to the house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we knew you were showing off a little bit, but you're also still a little embarrassed because you went into a different room to talk to him, but we could hear you. So it was a roller coaster. It's like you wanted us to hear you, but you didn't want us to see you.
Yeah.
What was going on in your head?
Oh God, am I gonna fuck this up? That would have been so funny.
We don't eat, we starve.
Don't worry, I'm gonna figure this out. And then I was like, wait, what? I couldn't place that dude's accent. Probably, I don't know. Like, I don't even know what a Venezuelan accent sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit more in the weeds, but
let's dig in harder.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I know we didn't, we kind of touched the tech stuff. There's a lot there, but appreciate you taking the time, I was going to end with some lightning round quick. Oh yeah, we didn't talk about the Han or the Hwan. It's this idea that David Cho, he's a Korean artist, talks about the Han is something that all not repressed minorities that have been like
acclimated.
No, well, it's like they've been enslaved for something or like shit on.
Yeah.
Suppressed minorities, I guess, in a way. Have this anger that like they just have, that like this rage that can come out. And for Koreans, he's Korean. He calls it the Han. And he would, spite fuels him. Spite fuels us as Mexicans. I think when I was like, yeah, I have an anger in me. I want to. If I feel slighted or whatever, I'm more likely to do something if I feel like it's gonna show somebody. If I feel spite motivating it. So I call that the Hwan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we're talking about Mexicans love karate. Mexicans do a lot of things out of spite. A lot of Mexicans teach out of shame. Which is something I've been thinking about a lot more. Like even just with my wife, if she's doing something I don't approve of or don't like, my first instinct is to like shame, like to be annoyed and be like, no, I have to show her this is not, I don't approve of this.
Huh. Yeah.
Which is something I'm trying to be more cognizant of and just be like, hey, you don't have to communicate like that just because that's how I was taught,
Yeah.
Like just stuff with like weight, like for me, like my parents would shame me for my weight, like it wasn't just like, hey, we care about you. We don't want you to be healthy and, maybe even not be made fun of, so like with my grandpa, I know it was like a shame thing for him. He felt like, he was like, you're okay, but don't gain any more weight is something he told me like, yeah, but it's because he was, I was a reflection of him and he wanted people to think of him a certain way. My dad felt the same way, so it's like, trying to dismantle that a little bit.
Yeah.
Did you get that when you were growing up?
I was talking to one of the parents recently,
A
and
parent.
I was talking to my mom,
Okay.
and
One of your parents. Okay. I was
yeah,
like, a parent, like a kid,
just
know?
just the royal parent, the royal we. She's like, "Oh, we have to do this, we have to do that." And it was like, "No, I like you're telling me what like I don't have to do that stuff. Like I don't have to like it's not everyone in the family is not my responsibility." And I think that's like a way that I relate to that where like my reflex is to be like, you know, whoever's not doing good, that's somehow a reflection on me. And it's not. Like also like it's very judgmental to like take that on and be like cuz then I'm like, "Oh, so and so's not doing well." What do I mean not doing well? Are they are they living their own life and getting to make their own choices? Then they're doing fine. Like it's not my choice to like say this is good and this is bad. And so like yeah, I do think that that happens and like there is like a lot of I don't catch it when it's happening to me when it's like the grandparent, the aunt, the uncle being like, "Oh, you should be like this." I mean like my cousin I had like a cousin who passed away recently and I was talking to one of my Spanish teachers about it and I was talking about how I like dressed up for the funeral and how I wore like I have like a pair of high heels and a like nice black dress. And I was like I had to like dress up and he was like, "Well, what do you mean you had to?" Well, like I wanted to like show everybody that I was doing good and then I'm like put together.
Yeah.
Like why? Like I mean, yeah, I guess I don't have
There's a
to.
status thing to it.
Yeah.
I associate that as well. Like, um, I haven't seen my dad in a long, long time, but some things are going on with my grandparents. So, like, they're getting older and things like that. And he's been like coming around more. And I'm like, eventually I'm going to have to see my dad, like when they die or something. And I'm like, my first thought was like, I better lose some weight.
Yeah.
I need to be in better shape. I don't know. So he can see that I'm successful or like that
Yes.
I'm not like a fat slob or something.
Oh my god.
That's just something I'm
Yeah.
putting on it for, but that's, it's fucked up that that's my first thought is like, I'll feel better than him if I'm in better shape. Cause even
Yeah.
though my dad has gotten into a lot, like if something I've had to detach where you're talking about like judging yourself versus what family members are doing, my dad has gotten in trouble with the law a lot. So it's like when he was in the paper for like doing something, it's like my dad, I thought that was a reflection on me, like, oh, my dad, did something wrong and blah, blah, blah. And it was in the paper. And, of course I was thinking like, what does that mean about me?
Yeah.
Which is not true and is nothing. But I don't know. So like, even though he's done that, but if I'm fatter than him, or if like he's always been in better shape, he's always kept, stayed lean. And like for some reason that means more to me than, whatever else is going on in his life. Which is so fucked.
It was
so fucked.
so bizarre to be like, yeah, the way I show everyone that I'm doing well is like put on a pair of high heels and some like
But I don't think it's bad. I mean, I get wanting to look nice and be presentable or whatever. Like I would
yeah.
want to look good too,
Yeah.
So like, again, it's not inherently bad, but again, it's who knows what the,
Oh my
they're going to
god.
think what they're going to think.
When my grandma died, I got my eyelashes permed. I was like, I
They put
must
the little things over your eyes.
they like glue something to your eyelid and then they like glue your eyelashes up so that they're like a little bit more curly. But I was like, I will be the hottest. I'm going to win this funeral.
So do you want to be hot at the funeral? Is that what you want people to think?
Yeah,
Like,
let
wow.
me pick up some family members. Me, a married person.
No, I mean, I get it. I want to
But
look good too. I
yeah,
want to
yeah,
look
yeah,
good.
yeah. But it was like I have to. This is the time where I must
Yeah,
use
you gotta.
like put on the armor of appearance and
Yes,
be
there's something there.
yeah.
Well, I guess we don't have time to get into it today, but totally relatable.
Thanks, JD. Yeah.
Well, we can both really show out for the next pod we do. We're both going to be dressed like we're going to the Met Gala.
Okay. I think that's good because my first thought was we're going to a funeral together.
No, I mean the next podcast,
The next
which we can call the
podcast.
funeral if you
Okay,
want.
yeah. Well, yeah, that could be something death themed for our podcast.
Yeah, we'll do it around Dia de los Muertos.
See.
Okay.
Vamos a ver. Vamos a ver.
Yeah, I let the guests sign us off however they see fit. I will say Wakanda forever. Be excellent to each other. Excelente
See,
contigo. No, that's
see, yeah, with you. Yeah, be excellent with you. We're gonna be. Thanks for having me. Good times. Thanks for a chat.
Did you have a good time?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was nervous, but good time.
All right. All right. However you want. Let's sign off. If we were doing a pod together, what would your sign off be?
No, dang, I can't use Super Pizza Friends out.
I mean, you could, but in Espanol.
I'd say, don't forget to eat. Have a good snack today. Okay, bye-bye.